The learnings from building and being part of an offer that hit $1 million plus, the $1 million info product funnel. I don't have anything to sell you in this video. This is actually just pure value, documenting the journey and giving you a bit of an insight into it as well. If you don't believe me, here's the proof. Here's the payouts from Wise that we've received on a commission/revenue share basis. And here are the stats as well. Collected well over $1 million on this one. What we're going to focus on is the Alex Hormozi approach. Keep it simple, stupid. Literally the most simplest stuff with the least amount of complications is the one that's going to make you the most amount of money. If we take a look at the funnel, what we have to start with is the content. Most of our partners, most of the people that we've worked with, they have gotten their leads from content as a main source, right? So that is email. Of course, you can also run ads, you can do other stuff. Most importantly though, content, because that is the easiest one to convert in. And typically you have 3 pillars in the info space. You have Twitter, you have YouTube, and you have Instagram. Twitter here, the coldest one, same with Instagram. That's people just getting to know you. That's the traffic. YouTube here is where the true conversion happens into essentially a freebie. That freebie can be a resource, it can be a template, it can be a school community, for example, a free one as well, which is great because then you can nurture them. And the people that are in that freebie, are in that school community, they sign up for the newsletter as well via opt-in method, and then you can nurture them and constantly play them over the time. And this is basically going to help them get accustomed with your brand, and that you are going to be the brand voice now. And they're going to be binge watching you now. They're going to be the audience, the ideal customer that you want. And this is exactly where the conversion happens. An average customer needs around 7 touch points until they actually take action on something and actually buy something. So you need to do a lot of touch points here. And that happens through them constantly being reminded in the email newsletter, them being in a school community that is actually quality, and then being driven into a VSL, which can happen through numerous different ways. For example, in the school community, you can in place an AI appointment set. You can in place a normal appointment setter in the school community just through DMs. You can do CTAs through email newsletter, so on and so forth. Post it on your Instagram, post it on your Twitter, post it on your YouTube with those little reminders. Very, very easy going. And then you just drive them to the VSL. However, before you can do all of that, the good question, of course, is what are some content ideas and how you're actually going to make content, because it's probably the hardest part, actually doing the content here. Typically, what we've seen is you can do content based on 4 things, right? One is the ICP. So your ICP, speaking of what do they like, what do they actually enjoy doing, what essentially is your customer like? Are they working 9 to 5? Are they working as a business owner? Are they already running a specific type of business? Do they have kids? What health status are they in? Are they overweight? Are they underweight? So on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you need to know your customer to the T. And this is when we go into any offer, the first thing that we focus on, your ICP, your niche. How does that look like? Once you have that, you can focus on pains and desires. So what do they want to achieve? What is the biggest pain for them right now? Stupid example in fitness coaching could be, for example, I want to lose weight. I can't bend my back. I can't make love to my wife. My children hate me. Whatever. The desire on that is how to lose weight, or essentially that you want to lose weight. You can put that into video, how to lose weight, so on and so forth. I think you get the gist here. Of course, same thing with BizOps, same thing with trading, same thing with whatever it is. Every human has a pain element and a desire element to them. With that, naturally, you can exploit on that and essentially attract the attention that way. Additionally, and this is where your content will do most of the conversion, which is perfect for the sales team, and I will get into different funnel types in a second. You can have content on objections. So for example, what if this doesn't work for me? Is it already too late? For example, with AI, I don't have enough money to do this. You can do a case study on like, he did this with $200 or whatever it is. You can take those objections, and this is exactly where your sales funnel comes into place, where you need good sales reps. It is exactly because they will give you that feedback back, and you will take that feedback, put it into a video, and it's going to ease up the sales process even more. So objections typically consider themselves in terms of fear. What if this doesn't work for me? What if I'm a special case? Money, I don't have the money for that. Time, I don't really have the time for that. You can also do logistical stuff, like for example, what if I'm in another country and I can't do this, so on and so forth. And then you can put this back to your ICP and address them even further. And the more specific it gets, the better it is, because the niche of an audience you're going to build, of course, you're not going to get thousands of views, with the niche of an audience it is. Additionally to that, what you can also do is you can do research on the back end of that. You can see what your competitors are doing. If you go onto YouTube and you type in trading, you're going to see a lot of stuff from your competitors, from TJR, so on and so forth, how to, very, very classic titles, and you can just copy them, copy their video idea. Good artists copy, the best artists steal, and then put this into a different approach. So yes, you can literally just copy their videos and go from there. Once you have that, and you have your content pillar structured out, it's time to drive them towards this VSL. And this is where most of the magic happens. And this is the most complicated part, which is the sales funnel. Because once they are in the VSL, think about it from their perspective. They're seeing the VSL probably for the first time. VSL is, if you didn't know, a virtual sales letter. So that is where you can give them a bit of urgency to book a call. So that is a CTA. At the end of the day, the outcome of that VSL can be multiple things. It can be a type form, it can be a Calendly, and a checkout. Typeform and Calendly are the most common ones, and I'll explain to you why in a second. From the Typeform, what you essentially have as an option is once they are, let's say, putting the information, for example, how much money do you make, or how many pounds do you want to lose, and so forth, Typeform will save that. And once that Typeform is complete, you have two options. You can either send them through to a setting call, which they can book themselves in, or you can tell your setters that they need to call those leads, and it will show them like, hey, we'll get in touch with you, yada, yada. Or you can also do is you can just funnel them straight into Calendly, into a triage or closing call, because you already have a bit of a qualification there, right? You have the opportunity to ask questions. Keep in mind though, the more questions you ask on the type form, the harder it is and the more of a barrier to entry it is for them to actually book in the call. So you will have a lot higher drop-off rate. Once you have that setting call on type form and they give them a quick ring or like, hey, John, this is John from ABC company. The job of the setter here is to qualify the prospect and give them urgency and essentially nurture them as well. So once they identify sort of what they're looking to do, how much money they have, what can they actually invest, they will either get put through to a closing call or they will get told, no, sorry, just stick with the community. And this is where the email newsletter just spiels them on a longer run and make sure that they nurture them. And once they have the money, they can find the money, so on and so forth. Once they are on the closing call, and this is what should happen between setting to closing, you will need to nurture them. And those are those blue buttons here. Nurturing means specifically for the ICP. For example, let's just say you have 3 case studies. One is for entrepreneurs, one is for industry experts, and one is for developers because you're selling AI biz up. You will need to nurture them specifically to the ICP. You can use for automations, the setter can send this manually, so on and so forth. So give them the proof, give them the review, something that they can look at already before the call so they get warmed up to you and also to the closer. By the way, pro tip, if your closer is going to send them a quick voice or a quick video the day before, that increases conversion rate massively because the ice is already broken. The second step is to go straight into Calendly. Straight into Calendly, in my opinion, my favorite approach. This is where you have the highest conversion, and this is where you can play a lot with lead volume as well. We have 2 approaches here. Either you do a dirty laundry and you go into the closing call in an instant. You have to nurture them though before they hop up for the closing call. So those leads are a lot colder. Closer needs to do a lot of the legwork here. On the triage call though, once they book in, it's probably like a quick 15-20 minute triage call, nothing crazy, sometimes even half an hour with higher B2B ticket sales, like where that is, I don't know, 15, 20, 25,000. Usually they do have a longer triage call just to assess everything, and then it's a 2-call close. Once you jump onto that triage call, same thing with the setting call. It's just that they book it in. They walk through a sequence of who are you, what are you doing, what's the money that you have to actually invest into this, are you actually the right fit for this program, so on and so forth, the whole spiel. Then you put them onto a closing call. And that's exactly where the nurturing happens. Again, same thing as with the setting call. Most importantly here, you want to hype the closer up as much as possible. So they are your quality person. They are the lead consultant, the senior consultant, they're closer to the influence or whatever, so that your triagers, they don't get put around the block with what's the pricing, what can you tell me more about the program, so on and so forth. So make the triager look a bit less and make the closer look a bit more. And with that difference, it's going to be way easier to do the transfer. What you have to keep in mind though here, the show rate, right? Actually that they show up on the closing call, but I'll touch briefly on that in a second. Then the third option is straight to checkout, something that gets rarely seen in the info space, but still works very, very well. On the checkout, it's literally just the VSL, case studies, and then it's a checkout link, whether that is through to a Stripe notification, whether that is through to pay funds, whether that is literally just a PayPal transfer, that could be as well. You have the option to do a checkout. Typically what we see in terms of ticket sizes, Typeform and Calendly are more higher ticket. Checkout usually is lower ticket, because what you're essentially doing here is with checkout, you're only scraping the 10 or 20% of your audience that are actually the warmest. They will buy by themselves regardless of what you do. They don't even need a sales code most of the time. They literally jump onto the call, and I've been on those calls multiple times. They're just sitting there like, well, look, I'm ready to go. You don't even need to tell me that. Send me the payment link. I'm ready to go. So that's ideal. But then you have 60 to 80% of the audience that I have not bought yet. They are a bit more on the fence. They need a bit more nurturing. They need a bit more love and a bit of like slap around the face as well. So this is exactly where the call comes in. With checkout, you scrape the top 10, 20%, but still you can make a shit ton of money with that. Now you're rightly asking yourself, well, Richard, there are so many funnels here. Which funnel do I actually use? And let's actually look at some examples so you can see for yourself. You can get a bit of a better grasp of what it is. Colby here, he uses Typeform a lot. So if you literally click onto his sales letter, you have the VSL here, and then you can apply for his private mentoring below. If we find it, here we go. So it's classic Typeform, collects the details, so on and so forth, the stuff that you want to have, and then essentially collects your information. That's for the setter, so they can give you a call, and ideally you can book yourself a call on the back end of that. Very simple, very straightforward. This is ideal for flaky audiences, so people who don't necessarily have a cult-like following or are in niches like sales, like crypto, right? So for very flaky audiences, people that are very skeptical, that you essentially have to warm up first. But it's a very, very quick pre-qualification. Requires basically minimum pre-qualification. You have literally seen it on the questions that were asked. It's basically what's your ideal monthly income within the next 90 days? And also how much do you have to invest to actually become that? What are you doing right now? What's sort of the number that you're making right now? So on and so forth. So with that, you get a lot of data, and you mostly use sales as the conversion. So the setter or the closer, they do the converting, not the content here. With Calendly, this is Jordan Lee's approach. He's selling an AI BizUp offer. He's booking it straight into your Calendly. Jordan Lee uses with his AI BizUp acquisition calls exactly the same thing. He just goes straight into the Calendly. So quick little type form. I'm a business owner. What do I make? Quick little qualifying criteria, yada, yada. That's a bit too long to essentially include. But then they essentially get put through, and ideally puts us to a Calendly page. Here we go. Book a call below. The internet is a bit slow. And here you go. Book a call below. Right? And you can literally just book yourself into the Calendly, and you can go from there. And those boys are printing, so it works definitely pretty well. With Calendly, you have different approaches to do this. You have triage and closing. If you remember back at the chart, triage here is the quick 15-minute call. Closing call is straight to the 45-minute call. With triage, you have the lowest barrier to entry, right? Everyone can book that, very, very easy, nothing too crazy. This is best to get to know your audience and essentially map out your offers. If you don't have a specific offer right now, this is the best way to approach this. Have a quick little 15-minute triage with them, get to know your audience. What do they need? What are they struggling with? So on and so forth. The problem though is that's the least profitability, because you're paying commission to a closer, which is 10 to 15%, and to a triage, which is 2 to 5 to 8%, depending on, of course, the offer that you're running. So you have the least margin out of all of those three funnels. With closing, most important, with the straight to closing structure, your content pre-sells. It already gives them a bit of a nudge. It already warms them up to a sense. There's literally no pre-qualification. It's a very dirty funnel. Your closers are going to deal with a lot of shit. It's going to be a high churn rate for your closers as well, for your sales reps, because they are just going to be like faced from time to time with 8 calls a day, literally all from countries like Nigeria, India, so on and so forth. So countries that have less buying power, and actually they will not be able to afford your program. Then we have checkout. Checkout is the most interesting one, because that is literally where content is the conversion machine for you. Josh Lyons does this super well. Josh Lyons, sales, BizUp, classic, how to become a high ticket closer. And he's selling to high ticket closers who are already experienced in closing. So jumping into a sales call for them would probably be very, very useless and very stupid. So basically jumping onto sales calls with those closers would be quite stupid because they basically already know the product inside out and they know the sales piece and it wouldn't work for them. So here, what he has is he has a BSL, as you guys have seen earlier. He has testimonials. After that, he basically has a checkout page, what you'll get, and then name, email address, and you can literally just sign up for a free month course. And if you're asking yourself if this is actually something that works, he's got 84 members here. 84 members are paying him $3,000 a month. So that is, if I'm not mistaken, 84 times 3, that's 252,000 per month. So over the year span, he's making 3 million just with a school community. So yeah, there's levels to this game. But again, the content is working as a conversion. You have to put a lot of effort into content, actually putting this together, actually making it happen. However, it is the easiest to implement. So this is the best funnel for getting people on board, getting them into 1,000, 1,500 low ticket offer that they sort of get their footing in, and then you can upsell them on the back end of that. It's the easiest one to implement. However, it is the hardest to get the traffic. It is the hardest to get the traction on YouTube and essentially convert the traction into paying customers. I mean, if you take a look at his audience, he's got 10,000 subscribers and 80 people in his program. If you would implement something like a call approach, he would make a lot more money just because there will be a lot more people on the fence. You can push into it, but with that, the quality of the product gets dampened because the people inside there are not as high quality anymore. In terms of analyzing all those funnels and actually putting them into perspective for you, so you have one that you can actually use and that you can stick to, Typeform here, in my opinion, is a golden classic, made in all areas. Nothing too crazy. Basically, the golden standard, right? You can implement it. You can use it as of right now. This is something that you can set up in 5 minutes and you're good to go. It's the most average. And I would rather have something that's average than ups and downs and ups and downs. Calendar here with the triage system is my personal favorite because this is where you can put a lot of volume into the machine. You have very, very easy content because it's just a 15-minute call where you can title as free consultation, and the conversion is the highest on the closer side. So less churn, less stuff that the closers need to worry about. The triagers just deal with a lot of stuff. The only disadvantage here is it's not as profitable as, for example, a checkout would be, where you have the best profitability simply because you have to pay them commission. Same here with Calendly, where you have just a closer. Volume, still great. People still sign up for a free consultation call. Profitability is made. You just don't have a triager anymore. Content is easy as well. The problem though, the conversion just drops. So you're going to experience high churn from your sales reps, a lot of bitching around, a lot of team management that you're going to have to do. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to play with show rates and so forth. The checkout version is not good when it comes to volume. It's not good when it comes to how easy the content is. You have to be very, very on point with the content. So if you like doing YouTube, that's your thing. The conversion as well is very, very little, right? You don't get a lot of people just into your course, into your program, into your mastermind, just because the price is already available there and everyone's then debating, well, is $3,000 worth it a month? Same thing with profitability, however. It's the golden goose because this is where you have no other costs other than Stripe and the school community, right? So pretty sweet. Of course, you have the content stuff. If I would have to create a TLDR and how I would scale an offer is I would start off with the Typeform. Typeform is the easiest one to implement. And once the volume allows it, I would switch to Calendly with a triage system. Just the easiest one. It's just the highest scalable one because you can deal with a lot of volume, and most importantly, you can deal with a lot of people and you can get to know your audience a lot better, can create upsells, can create cross-sells, cross-reference, so on and so forth. It just has to be managed by a professional, by a team, by a sales agency like mine, for example, or by someone else, by a sales manager that you're going to hire. You just have to hire them, basically. So they manage your team. Otherwise, you're just going to be a manager for the rest of your life. I hope this was useful. Again, I don't have anything to sell you in this video. If you've enjoyed it, let me know via a like and let me know which funnel you're going to implement next down below in the comment section. Somewhere on this screen, I will link the previous video that I've uploaded. And if you're looking for more value in terms of how to actually scale your info product, this is your channel. Subscribe, it's free, no charge, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.